Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now I do all things crafty, but on today's video, I'm going to use this press that I received from Eenour. Now it is a combination sublimation tumbler press and a hat press. I have an unboxing video where I show you more about the press, and then after that I did a live video. During that live, I made this tumbler and then I made a hat. Since then, I've made a couple more hats. Everything's been great so far, so we're going to keep using that today. The things that I'm going to use today are rubbing alcohol, and I'll use a paper towel with this. That's going to clean my tumbler. Some heat-resistant tape. I'm going to use this little Pinch Perfect tool. It's not necessary. I've used it once or twice. I thought it was pretty handy, so I'll use that today. I have a rotary cutter. I'm going to use this metal ruler. It has cork on the back to help it from slipping. And then I have this tumbler. Now I write on my tumblers where I got them. This is a Hippo tumbler. I also get some from Alibaba, Conde Systems. I think I've gotten some from Best Sub. So I get them from many different sources. Now this one comes with the little rubber thing that goes on the bottom after you've sublimated it. So we're just going to set those things aside. And then I found this print on Etsy. I don't buy many designs on Etsy because I have a Creative Fabrica membership. But I thought this was super cute, so I went ahead and bought it. When I bought it, it was only $1 something, like $1.80 or so. So I'll put a link to it in case you're interested. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and clean my tumbler. So go ahead, spray a little bit of the rubbing alcohol on the towel, and then just clean it off, just in case there's any oil or grease, anything on here that would keep it from sublimating well. Then I'll go ahead and set that aside, and I want to make sure that my table is dry because the next step is to cut down my image. So my image is backwards. It's kind of hard to tell on this image, but it is backwards because when you're doing sublimation, you want to mirror your design. So I have it right on the edge of the design, and I'm cutting off a tiny little piece of the design because I don't want to accidentally have any of the white up against the tumbler. If I do, it is going to have a white streak down the tumbler. Now on this side, I don't have to cut all the white off as long as I put this on the top when I wrap it. Now, before I go any further, I just want to do a reality check and make sure that I printed it wide enough. Okay, that looks very nice. So now I'll go ahead and cut the bottom and the top off. Now, I printed this plenty tall, and so I will go ahead and take the white all the way off and cut a little bit of the image off as well. Now, sometimes people ask me, what do you print your images at? What size do you print them at? And often I start at 9.4 by 8.2. It really varies on the tumbler. Some 20-ounce sublimation tumblers are a little taller and narrower, and some are just a little bit shorter and wider. And so there's no set size that you can use that you know is going to work on everything. Okay, so this is still just a little bit too tall. I am going to take off just a little bit more. Okay, so I think the design goes like this with that at the top. So what I'm going to do is flip my tumbler over. I want it flat on the table, and then flip my design upside down as well. Now remember, this side has a little bit of white, so it needs to go on the top when I wrap it. There's no white on this side. Okay, now that I have the correct side on the top, I'm going to take this little Pinch Perfect tool, put it about in the middle of the tumbler, and then I'm going to pull the paper together with it. Now to start with, I'm just going to put a small piece of tape to the right of it and then squeeze my paper together and tape that down. Now I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the left side. So I'm going to flip this around, put the tape on the piece of the paper that's on top, and then squeeze together and tape that down. So now I'm done with the Pinch Perfect tool. I just set it aside. Now I like to take my tape, squeeze it together, and I'm going all the way to the top of the tumbler, and I have a little bit left that I can flip over the tumbler. Now, look how far up I pushed that. I don't want that. So let's put my paper back down. I want the top edge of the paper to be just about even with the top of the tumbler. Okay, I'm going to call that almost good. Okay, we are going to call that good. And so now I'm just going to flip this straight over the tumbler and put my tape down inside. Now, if you have a preferred way of taping that works well for you, stay with that. I have a preferred way that I like to do it as well. And I have plenty of people tell me that I use too much tape, but that's the way I do it. When I first started sublimating tumblers, I had several, I would say close to 10, that I thought were very, very substandard. And so I started researching what works best for me, and this is what I found. So the first piece of tape is about even with the top of the tape or the top of the tumbler. Then the second piece is quite a ways above it. Okay, so I want to push this straight over. I don't want to twist. I want to push it straight over. And then I'm going to go ahead and just press this to the inside. Now, after I do this, I'm going to go around, look at the top, look for puckers in the paper. And if I find any puckers, I'm going to try to smooth those down. Okay, let's just rub this on the table. Try to get it down really nice and firmly. And I think I might be moving my camera. I'm sorry if that shook. You can also use some hard plastic to do that. And so now I'm looking at the top paper to see if I have any puckers. And it looks like I might have one right there, so I'm going to try to smooth that out. Okay, all in all, I think this looks very, very good. The other thing is, because this design has so much white in it that's supposed to resemble glitter, it's going to be very forgiving at the top and the bottom. Okay, that last piece of tape I did was way too long. So I'm just going to do the same thing at the bottom that I did at the top. All right, now the hard part's over. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to tilt this up so you can see what I'm doing. This press has 4 presets. Now they came already programmed, but I've already changed 2 of them. And so you can have 4 presets that you customize yourself. So I want to go ahead and turn it on. There's a little toggle switch over here. And right now that defaulted to the first preset. Now look how fast that heats up. So let's see what the first preset says. It says I'm going to use a temperature of 375 for 50 seconds. So I'm going to let this heat up, and then we're going to press this tumbler. Now I happen to have preset number 2 set for rhinestones because I put rhinestones on hats. Again, you can customize these any way you want. Now hopefully you could see that. I saw there was a glare, so let me just show you again. Here's 1 through 4. You have 4 presets. You can program them any way you want. Now while this is heating up, let me show you. If you need to adjust the pressure, there's 2 knobs back here. You want to look down and make sure there's a pretty even gap in there. I already have it set from the first tumbler that I did, so I think I'm good to go. The other thing is, when you are setting your pressure, it needs to touch the tumbler firmly, but you should not have to struggle with getting it closed. Some people put too much pressure on thinking you need that, and then they either overprocess their tumbler, they get tape marks in it. You just need to have a decently firm pressure. It does not need to be extremely tight. All right, so we're up to 360. We're going to, I think, 375 is what I settled on. So I'm going to go ahead and get my butcher paper and start wrapping my tumbler. Now you can just use regular copy paper, but I like to cut butcher paper so that it's long, and I can use this as a cradle. I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. All right, that is up to temperature. So I'm going to put my cup inside my paper cradle, and then I'm going to start with the seam toward me. Now the purpose of this paper is so that if ink seeps through the back side of the sublimation paper, you're not getting it on your press mat. So let's go ahead and put this in here. Now I can open this further. So we're going to put that in there. I like to hold it up a little bit up here and then close this up. And then on this press, you hit the enter. So I'm going to open it and turn it 180 degrees. So you'll probably see that tape go by in the gap. And with it at 180 degrees, the tape's going to be at the back. So I had to push enter to get it back to 50 and then enter again so it would start counting down. Now we're down to 3 seconds. When I take it out, I'm going to go ahead and put it on this heat pad and let it cool off just for a minute. Now I'm pretty impatient, so I don't let mine cool off all the way. Some people do, and that's fine too. But I'm usually too impatient for that. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Move it out of the way. By the time I get this moved out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at this. Now the way that I like to take a peek at these is to just go ahead and put a little slit in the tape, and then typically I can just take off most of the tape at the top. And as I've said before, these heat resistant gloves, they are just heat resistant. They are not heat proof. So this tumbler is still extremely hot and my hand is getting pretty warm. So just a word of caution, don't expect these are going to save your hand from getting hot. It just helps. So I'm just going to pull this down so I can reveal what it looks like. And I'm going to take a peek at it first. That looks good. I think that looks really good. So let's go ahead and take this off. I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. Just going to cut a little slit in the tape, being careful that I don't accidentally nick the sublimation coating of the tumbler. All right, are you ready to see this? Oh, that's cute. That turned out great. Now it's still super hot. Let me let that cool off for just a second, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to show you this up close and personal. Now, I don't think I said, but I use HTV Ront paper. And look at the ink release on that. I really love HTV Ront paper. Now, there's several papers that I use and I like, but for some reason, this has become my go-to paper. All right, this has cooled down quite a bit. It is still warm, but I can handle it. So look at the back seam. It's right along there. That looks great. And then there it is along the top. And then there it is along the bottom. And you can see it is slightly wrapped around where the cup is beveled. I think that looks great. Now I'm going to send this to my daughter for her birthday. She is not at all into money and materialism and all that. I just thought that was so cute and I wanted to try it out. So she's getting this along with some other things. Now I did go ahead and dump my water out of this cup. It's still a little bit wet, might drip. But here's the first cup that I did in this press. There's the back seam. And the top seam. And the bottom seam. Both super cute tumblers. Now I did notice today that this press, it's listed at $3.49. It has a $100 coupon off, at least right now. It makes it $2.49. That's a really good price just for a tumbler press. And then when you add the hat press attachment on top of it, I'm pretty happy with this press. So thanks so much for joining me and sticking it out all the way till the end. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, leave those in the comments section below. And until my next video, bye-bye.